Hello YouTubers, thank you for stopping by, and if you're a subscriber visiting back, welcome back. I appreciate the subscription and your enthusiasm to see what else I have next for you. In this case, it isn't a woodworking video, it's actually a little discussion and tip on building your own power station. It's not a do-it-yourself power station video, but don't leave just yet. It really is a valuable tip in really taking your power station to the next level. Something that I just don't see really much out there unless you spend top dollar for a power station. This power station wound up costing me about $160 to build, and I can tell you up front a few things before I get into the really nitty-gritty of what I want to present here. But what this power station is made of is comprised of a Harbor Freight ammo case, a metal one in particular. The reason for metal is for RF noise interference, to reduce it, not to get rid of it entirely, but to reduce it. I've also got two 12-volt, 10-amp individually, LifePo 4 batteries, lithium phosphate batteries, that allows you to go deep cycling all the way through to the usual 20% discharge. I wouldn't go any lower than that. So utilizing 80% of that battery. Switches to turn on certain ports. In particular here I have two USB ports, USB-C on each of the two, and USB 3.0, really not 3.0, but they call it that, but USB ports, standard USB in the bottom. That allows you to charge your tablets, your phone, power even some laptops, because it is a PD rated USB-C port. In the bottom, what we formerly used to call cigarette lighter jacks. It's probably dating myself. Now we call them, what, 12-volt auxiliary ports in much of the vehicles out there. I got two of those, and that will allow me to hook up my ham radio gear using a 12-volt auxiliary jack right into that. You know, that's the old cigarette lighter jack. And I had that switch controlled as well. I have two sets of LED lights, one for the forward, one for the rear, and they're each individually selectable with everything's waterproof buttons, and dimmer controlled. I want to be able to control how much light I'm outputting, because if it's too much light and I don't need it, dimming it down will just reserve more battery capacity for me, so I can run it longer. Something to consider. But getting the wrong dimmer will produce noise as well, so be careful what you're doing there. If you have ham radio, don't go for cheap. Get a good dimmer and incorporate it, but definitely a metal chassis to help you out with the noise. On this side, I have one double pole, double throw switch that's controlling whether to turn the unit on, off, or in charge mode. Charge mode will take the charge port and go directly to the battery. On takes the battery and goes directly to all my other components here. And lastly, a circuit breaker. I have a 20-amp breaker there, and it's also closed into a rubber seal. That way I can utilize the breaker without exposing more water into the unit. With that, I'd like to get to the nitty-gritty now. When you use a battery, discharging it changes the voltage. That's the characteristic of all batteries, whether it's a lithium battery, a lithium phosphate battery, or a lead acid. The characteristics vary between those battery versions, but the LifePo 4 batteries are the best, in which they start at a good high voltage of 13.3, some are 13.5 volts, and they charge higher, 14.6 I believe. But at 100%, they start at a very high value, and it's great for ham radio. As you get to discharge your battery, all batteries, as you're discharging it, it starts to drop voltage. And it's not that there's no current left. There's plenty of current there. The voltage is dropping. And that is a problem when it comes to ham radio in particular, but other units that are designed for the automotive voltage level. The standard automotive voltage level is 13.8 volts. And the ham radio, to get the optimum power that's coming out of that radio, that it can perform out of the finals, the amp, is dependent on a 13.8 volt source. So if your radio is spec'd for 5 watts or 10 watts or 100. It's reliant on 13.8 volts being provided in the first place. So because these power banks, these power stations, have batteries that will slowly drop voltage over discharge, this could be a problem, particularly if you get into halfway. Once you get to 50% discharge on these particular batteries of this particular manufacturer, the drop around 50% of discharge is 12.5 volts. Now that's running the red line of what is sufficient to run full power of my radio. Once you get to 40%, it starts to dive, and now you're talking 12 volts, and anything more, it starts to go below 12, and now you're really not turning a radio on at all anymore, or any device that really is looking for that 13.8 volts or 12 plus volts value. So that's a problem. So you're not really able to take advantage of a LiFePO4 battery if your unit doesn't turn on. What's the point of getting that type of battery? So what I decided is to get what's called a buck boost converter. I could certainly get away with just getting a boost converter and be happy, and it will boost the voltage as it's dropping below the 13.8 volts. Even if it starts off that way, it brings it up using a step-up circuitry to bring that voltage up to 13.8. At least this particular buck boost converter does that. You could buy a boost converter alone and it will do the same thing. It will boost the voltage. Typically it's somewhere around 8, I think in this case, because it's a buck boost converter, it's 8 to 40 volts because it brings it down as well. But a boost converter might be around 8 to 20 volts. I'm sorry, 8 to 12 volts and bring it up to 13.8. Something like that is what a boost converter will do. A buck converter, if you have a 24 volt battery, will take that higher voltage and buck it down to 13.8. Now it's not always going to be 13.8. It depends on the spec version you buy. I particularly purchased one that outputs 13.8 volts, a standard automotive voltage setting. And having the buck boost will give me the ability to bring up the voltage when necessary and bring down the voltage when necessary. Is there ever a time I'm going to need to bring it down? Not with its current configuration, but I'm now given that leeway to upgrade to another set of LiFePO batteries and put them in series with this other set and now have 24 volts, but still output 13.8. And I have some terminal lugs that are on its way here from Amazon, but we all know how long that takes. And that will be the raw power coming out of the battery at all times, which will obviously experience the voltage drop. But I just want to have that direct connection as well. But again, you got to wait for Amazon. We all know that song. So inside, I want to show you a little bit of the build. Again, it's not a build video, but it's just something to give you some thought on how to build your own to improve what you're seeing out there. And again, they're not poor instructionals. They're just not covering something that some of us do require. And if you're a prepper, this is something you should technically want to require in your build. A buck boost converter or just a boost converter alone, if you're running 12 volt batteries, is what you need. Okay, so this is what it looks like. Some are smaller. If it's just a boost converter or just a buck converter, it's going to be a little smaller. This is both. It handles both directions of increasing or decreasing voltage to bring out and condition to the 13.8 volts. I use Wago connectors on this unit because it's attached to my little tray here. And that way I could just quick disconnect the 4 leads that go to the converter, and I have this separated. Now, when you're using a buck converter or a boost converter, it's a simple wiring method. You have the positive and negative leads going to the battery or the source of whatever you wired here, right? The power source. And then the output is, in this case, yellow. And it's kind of a standard. Yellow is the positive out, and the adjacent black that's next to it is the negative out from the converter. And that's all there is to it. In comes the power, out comes conditioned perfect power at the rated version you've purchased. In my case, again, 13.8 volts. I also added quick disconnects even for the lid in this case. If you have a Harbor Freight ammo case, the lids come off. It's great. It's a great case for the price. I think I spent 17 bucks for the case. And I added a quick disconnect. The case comes right off. I can easily do any maintenance in here. There might be some other reason to detach it. I don't have one other than for maintenance, but it's nice and handy for it to be modular like that. You could technically, I guess, swap out and have a different type of LED or a different type of attachments up above, as long as you're using the proper gauge wires. Which brings to another point. When you're building your unit, be certain that you do research on the gauge wire to use. I see a lot of mistakes in using underrated wire, and you might get away with it because it's such a short lead here and there, such a short length. It's not recommended. You're pretty much turning your wire into a fuse, and you don't want to do that. You don't want it to heat up. You don't want any damage in there. You don't want any catastrophes. And if it's for prepping purposes, you want it reliable. So that's really all there is to this unit that I wanted to explain to you. As you can see, I have the charging port right here. The power adapter for charging fits right into a tray in here. I just built out a polyethylene cutting board, just sized it up for the case, and that's it. As you can see, it's compact. It isn't light. Don't expect this to be something you could walk for miles. I did measure the weight, and it's 16 pounds overall. That's pretty heavy. Not for a good strong person, but it is pretty heavy if you're going some distance for a hike with a portable ham radio, perhaps like a little QRP park venture you're going on. You want to just bring a little 5-watt or 10-watt radio. This could be a little, bulky and heavy, but it's going to be clean. You're going to have very little RF noise. You're going to have excellent batteries that you could drain all the way down to 20% and still get the 13.8 volts that you need for that radio to perform at its very best. So in this case, I have 12 volts, 20 amps, converting that up to 13.8 volts, and there's a 5% loss in power for efficiency. I mean, I'm still going to get a full day of being able to have a fun QSO, a communication with someone on the other end of that radio, doing some DX, distant communications with another hamster for hours on end, and not worry about the power just dropping. Eventually, when it reaches 20%, time to sign off, say goodbye, but I know I got to utilize this power bank at its most optimal performance. If you look into other alternative batteries such as lithium, which is very common in the cheap power stations that you can get in this price area of $100 to $200, they're going to have lithium batteries. Lithium batteries, you shouldn't discharge too much. You can't go down to 20%. Even if it says deep cycle, it's not. Lithium, I wouldn't go beyond 50%. I think some people say to not even go that low. And that to me is screaming waste of money. You might as well just get the lead acid battery and let it burn because it's so cheap. But in both cases, lithium and lead acid, they are heavy. So as much as this is 16 pounds, the LifePo 4 batteries are very light. I'd say half the weight, maybe even lighter. And save your arm, So I hope this tip helps you. Again, it's not instructional. Chime in if you want to see an instruction on how to build this power station. I can certainly put that together next, but again, there's so many out there. My intent is not to compete with other YouTubers. My intent is to provide content that's going to enrich the community. Maybe some other people will take this on and improve it even further. Great, God bless them. But again, thank you for watching. I hope this wasn't too lengthy for you. If you're with me thus far, I really appreciate it. Like, subscribe, ring the bell. You know the song, that jingle that everybody sings. I really appreciate it, and I look forward to seeing you again in the next video. Well, you're not going to really communicate with each other or me see you, but you know what I'm talking about. Cheers.